Hello, ladies. Welcome. We're going to do another one of our curriculum roundtables. And this one, we're going to focus on growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Do we have any initial thoughts relating to these two concepts?
Well, I'll say that in Cumberland County, a couple, 2 years ago, um, all the leadership got the book and they really focused on that growth mindset. So has been a hot topic for Cumberland County. So I was excited that you picked this topic because I wanted to hear what other people had to say about it and what their thoughts were.
And then at my school, we're in a truly growth phase in the sense that we are developing new programs just to promote student growth. We're growing physically as a school, but in addition to our growth physically, we're also pushing the idea of growth. And one of the programs that we launched recently, and it's nothing new, but for us being a small school, we've taken to doing our MTSS program and ensuring that our students are getting the services that they do need, so as to possibly bring them to IEP or whatever additional needs they may have. One of the things I wanted to share, and I'm going to share my screen with you, I wanted to share this flow diagram. If I can get this shared, it will be great. Are we seeing that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very great. So this right here kind of shows us a little thing about growth, about the growth mindset. But everything, if you look at it, it goes into that positive frame of mind where everything that you do, you recognize that there is a benefit from it. And oftentimes, especially as a math teacher, one of the things that I struggle with is my students where they're like, why am I learning this? How is this going to help me? And they're like, this is so hard, this is so tedious. But the growth mindset takes everything that they're experiencing and gives them that positive flip on it. So for example, effort is not making me more tired. It's actually going to make me stronger. And in the end, once I work hard, I'm going to have a higher academic achievement. There's another graph I actually want to share as well, and that's this one. And this one was the one that actually put it in perspective for me. If you look right here, we see a control group, and we have those kids who have been exposed to growth mindset. And we see how it is that their scores actually change over time just by introducing the growth mindset in the classroom as opposed to fixed mindset.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the first graphic that you did where it said work harder, because I also was looking at some articles and things, and it also had a same kind of graphic to get the kids to stop thinking, and I guess it goes back to the topic you talked about, Silvia, to not think about what they cannot do,
right,
but to think about, oh, I can do this with hard work.
Right.
And so the article I read was not fixed, they're not fixed, that my intelligence isn't fixed and fixed at this one pace, but my intelligence is this growth, if it can grow higher and bigger with hard work, determination. And so I was wondering maybe if this growth mindset would help with motivation.
It definitely would. If you said a lot just now, Anita, but I'm zeroing in on this first one where it says I can get smarter. Oftentimes you hear kids say, I'm not smart, I can't learn math, I hate ELA or whatever it is. But with the growth mindset, we recognize, okay, I may not understand everything, but I can definitely get smarter. I can learn. And students will tell me personally, I'm never going to understand that. I can't learn this. I've never learned, I never passed math in the last 5 years of doing the EOGs. But at the same time, having this as being the focus, I can get smarter. I can learn a little bit more than I do know now.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Yeah, I love the book, and I follow him through Twitter. The book, George Curious, the author of the Growth Mentality book, and I follow him through Twitter and all that. And what I really like that is that essentially he says that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. what you need to do is to think of ways to use that wheel, you know? So it's teaching the students that you don't have to necessarily change completely. What you need to change is the way you think, the way you manage things. And I like that part where it says, my goal is learning and I can do. It's teaching our students that they can get where they want to get with hard work, which I think is one of the bullets there. It's not necessarily that you just have to be smart. It's that if you work hard, you will get where you want to be. And I started reading that book when my daughter was like in 3rd grade, and it helped me a lot as a parent to help her change that growth mentality. And there's a lot of things that she tells me, Mama, I want to join this. And I go, and then I said, okay, yeah, because you might not be good at it, but you can get to be good at it. You know, might be the last one now, but later on you're gonna be at the top if you work hard. So I think that's what it goes along with that growth mentality.
Yeah.
And funny enough, you know, one of my classes last year, the class was a foundation to math for high school students. So you imagine that these are the students who would not have passed the previous year. And on the first test I was given, I had kids who scored in, you know, the 40s, the 50s, you know, in that region. And I remember going through the school year, and this child, she had gotten, the first test she did, she actually got 40 something. And then she got a 65%. And she had a fit in my classroom. She was telling me, I failed, because at my school, a 70 is what is passing.
Right.
I failed. I've never passed a math test. I can't pass a math test. And she went on and on and on. And finally, I said to her, what was the first score you got? What was the first, when you did your first math test, what was your first score? And she's like, I don't remember. I was like, it was in the 40s. And she's like, okay. And she still looked at me like, why are you telling me that? That's not helping me. So of course I said to her, but you started with a 40 something and now you have a 65%. You're growing. And she's like, but I still failed. And finally, I had to break it down to her to say to her, okay, so you started with a 40, you're at a 65 right now, which means that you have grown approximately 20 points in the last couple of months. That means that if you just push yourself a little bit harder, it means that in a couple of weeks, you may be over the 70, you will be passing. She was like, okay. But at the same time, it was to get her to see it from the other perspective.
Yeah.
I want us to just kind of quickly look at that comparison chart that I have right there, where on one side it says, I'm stupid at this, I shouldn't even bother trying. But on the other side, it says, I haven't mastered this yet, I need to work harder to try to improve pretty much. And it's just to get our students to get to that place where they're like, okay, you know, I may not be the best, but I'm definitely working really hard. And if I can move from a 10% to a 20% to a 30% to just keep building, then of course we can see the growth that we desire from them.
Yeah. If you look at this, do you see the next thing is that behavioral response, where you're the decreased effort or increased effort?
Right.
But if you also think about the behavioral response, when kids get that, I'm stupid, I shouldn't even try bother, that's when they come a discipline problem.
Definitely.
They give up, they start talking to friends, then they're upset with themselves, so they act out because they don't know how to, you know, manage responses all the time. So I think everything we've talked about tonight also has an impact on behavior and emotions.
Definitely.
You know, so.
And look how high up that mindset sits. The mindset is going to control your psychological interpretation. As a student, you either are going to use that fixed mentality or you're going to use that growth mentality. And from then on, then you're going to have a response from that, because for every action, there's a reaction. So what is that reaction? Is it going to be positive? Is it going to be negative? That's your behavior. And that's where behavior problems boil down right there. And in terms, what is going to be affecting? Your academic performance. So it's amazing how from the just your mindset, what you put in here, you know? Yeah.
Yep.
So we're going back to teach them a couple of things that we have been talking through this evening. Number one, I can do it with a lot of work, with a little bit of effort. I can do it. And somehow also changing that speech, that way of talking. Because our kids are very, very negative. You hear them doing a math, I myself, you hear them doing a math problem, and they're like, "Oh, I can't do it." You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, or right away, I can't do this. I'm incapable. I call myself this morning. I call myself mathematical handicap. So I think I
Okay.
gotta revisit my
So we're saying
mindset.
that you do not have a growth mindset as it relates to math right now.
Yeah, I do not, and I'm not a person. I jump over a lot of obstacles, but math, so it's one that But really, we do have to start training our students, even our teachers. Let's think about teachers in terms of leadership. You know, think about teachers. We have to start training them of, yeah, you can do this. You're capable of doing this.
Yep.
We were actually talking today at a SIT meeting about duties, and one of the everybody was complaining about a 5-minute. One of the teachers totally reversed it and said, what are the advantages of being at my duty station for a long period of time, meeting the students, meeting their needs, getting to know them, actually building relationships? He said, as opposed to me being very negative, not wanting to be there for 10 minutes. He said, let's weigh all that. And I think that's a growth mentality.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely.
And he's like the crankiest one in the group. Everybody was like, okay, yeah. Only that he suggested to be at their duty station the whole entire year so that you get to build relationships. I don't think that's going to be well taken from the others. But yeah, it's switching a situation into, okay, let's grow from here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want us to look at it from the lens of being future administrators and how it is that this could potentially impact a low performing school that we may lead. A school who for the last 5 years, they've gotten a grade of a D or an F. And how it is that the growth mindset over the fixed mindset may actually change the school culture and actually lead to greater performance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm at a school like that. I think they've been a D for at least the last 3 years, maybe the last 5.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I hear that they can't, and the kids do that. So we need to start doing that on that other side of the graphic. If I work harder, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes back to what you said, Jerome. That girl thought she was still failing, but she grew 20 points. We should celebrate that.
Definitely.
We should celebrate that as an accomplishment, that she grew, and that's not a deficit. Yeah, I mean, still was not a passing grade, but it's still, she grew.
Right.
And if we start thinking and having the kids think, oh, hey, a little more, a little more, a little more, instead of saying we have to be all the way at the end.
Right.
So
it's interesting, Anita, what you're saying, because it's almost like you're a fly on the wall in the first few weeks of my class when I get introduced to a class. One of the conversations I have with them is the idea of a child who starts with a 90 and drops down to an 89. And I said to them, I said, when you start with a 90 and you drop down to an 89, I said, I get a little bit upset. I said, however, if you start with a 50 and you move up to 55, I'm excited. And everyone at that point, when I said that, they're all looking at me like, why would you be excited over a 55? And I said, because if you move up to a 55 after a week or two, it means after another week or two, you're up to 60. And they're like, okay. So of course we started doing math together. So I'm like, after another week or two, where we at? And they're like 65. And I was like, after another week or two, where we at? They're like 70. I was like, immediately you're passing. And I said and then of course I went back to the other situation. I said to them, but if you start at 89 with a 90, you drop down to an 89. It means that a week or two you drop down to an 88, and you keep dropping down. It means that at the end of the year, I've not really done justice by you. I've not helped you as a student. I've just enabled you to just, go by the wayside. And when we had that conversation, of course, there were the nods to say, okay, I understand what you want from me. But at the same time, I had students who were like, okay, whatever. But at the same time, like you said, it's just to change that narrative and ensure that we actually promote our students just growing wherever they are. Going back to your topic, Silvia, of assets, where what you bring to the table. You bring 60% right now, but just using what you have and building on that throughout the entire school year
Yep.
to grow.
So, Jerome, what is your school doing to promote the growth mentality?
What we're doing is, so there are several things that we do. So for example, we have Saturday Academy. And one of the things that all that is that on a Saturday morning, not every Saturday, but a few Saturday mornings throughout the school year, those students who are not on grade level, or those students who think that they need additional help, they can come into the building and we'll do tutoring with them for 3 hours on a Saturday morning. Another thing we have, like the MAPS testing, and using that as teachers just to gauge to say, okay, this is where this child is, and looking at their quantile, leg style, whatever that information is, and just using that to change our instruction, just to ensure that we're hitting those levels. And then lastly, for the last year or so, what the big talk has been outside of growth mindset is differentiation. So having this group over here working on this and making sure that we're having them grow, and then having this group over here, which is a little bit hard, having them work on something that's also funneling or having them grow. My school last year, or for the last 2 or 3 years, we were a C school. Today we're actually told that we're actually now a B school, and of course we're like, whoa.
Yay!
So
That's gonna be Anita's.
definitely happening. It has been long coming, because at one point we're like, are we actually gonna make it or not? But we're very happy to hear that this year we actually and change from a C to a B school.
I think that what you said, that, I mean, that's awesome to go to a B, but also it's the growth mindset of the teachers to be able to differentiate. You know, okay, I'm not going to be fixed at this point. I'm going to help this group of students and that group of students. But I do agree that it goes right back to Silvia's topic also. Let's build on their strengths for differentiation purposes.
Definitely. All right. It was really good hearing your thoughts on growth mindset. Do we have any final thoughts that we'd like to share?
Let's all have a growth mindset through this internship and this curriculum class.
Definitely.
We can do it.
There you go. We can do it.
Yes, we can.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.